Come, sit close, my dear. Let the world's noise slip away for a while, and listen to a story that drifts softly like evening rain over quiet streets. It is a story of hearts and choices, of memories that hide and truths that wander, a tale that will curl around you like a warm shawl, full of small surprises and gentle mysteries. Not all is as it seems, and sometimes the most ordinary days carry the weight of tomorrow. So breathe, settle in, and let your mind wander into a city that hums with secrets, and a girl who is about to learn that even the softest life can hold the deepest storms. The doors of the memory clinic sighed open with a soft, mechanical breath, warm air brushing Ayla's face, as if the building itself had noticed her arrival. Wheels hummed under polished floors, voices stayed hushed like prayers, and somewhere, deep inside, a clock ticked out of rhythm, as though time here preferred its own rules. Ayla walked beside her younger brother, Sami, his fingers tapping nervously against his leg. Tap, 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 the way he always did when pretending not to be afraid. She smiled at him the way older sisters do, soft and practiced, even though her chest felt tight. Memory edits were safe, they said. Gentle, they said. Just a little rearranging of thoughts, like tidying a bookshelf. Yet Ayla knew better. Memories were not books, they were bones. The waiting room smelled faintly of chamomile and clean metal, a strange comfort. Screens glowed with slow-moving clouds. Chairs cradled bodies kindly. Ayla rubbed her thumb over the edge of her sleeve, grounding herself. She had helped design parts of this place years ago. Back when hope felt simpler, she wondered briefly why her heart beat so loudly now, as if it recognized something her mind had not yet caught up to. When Sami was called inside, Ayla followed until a nurse smiled and gently stopped her. "Family waits here, dear," the nurse said, voice wrapped in wool. Ayla nodded, sat down, tried to read the same sentence over and over. Her thoughts drifted. How strange it was that today felt heavier than it should, like rain waiting just above the clouds. A quiet chime sounded behind the glass corridor. A technician hurried past. A door did not close properly, and Ayla, curious, without meaning to be, stood and peeked. Screens flickered inside the control room, lines of names and dates sliding softly. She should have turned away, she truly should have, but then she saw it, a file glowing pale blue, tomorrow's date written clearly, and beneath it, her own name. Her breath left her all at once. The room felt suddenly colder. Ayla stepped back, heart thudding. This was impossible. Files were archived by past events. Only, tomorrow did not exist yet. She pressed her palm to the glass. As if the screen might explain itself, a memory file meant an edit. An edit meant a choice already made, and she could not remember choosing. Footsteps approached the screen. Dimmed Ayla returned to her seat just as Sami came out smiling weakly. "All done," he said, trying to sound brave. She hugged him a second longer than usual, breathing in the familiar scent of home and detergent, telling herself this feeling would pass, telling herself she was only tired as they walked out together. The clinic lights dimmed behind them like a bedtime lamp being switched off, and above the city, clouds drifted slow and low, as if carrying secrets meant for tomorrow. The night moved softly around Ayla as she slept, curtains breathing with the wind, the fan whispering like an old lullaby, and then suddenly there was motion, screeching metal, a sharp cry. Her body jolted as if the bed itself had tilted into another world. She was standing in the middle of a narrow street in her dream, shoes sticky with spilled soda, neon signs buzzing above her head, a small red car rolling too fast, too close. She tried to shout, but her voice stayed tucked inside her chest. A bicycle swerved, a bag of oranges burst open, and the sound, oh, the sound, metal kissing bone. A thud that felt final. Her heart slammed so hard, she woke up gasping. Ayla sat up, sheets tangled around her legs, sweat cooling on her skin. The room smelled faintly of night air and detergent. She pressed a hand to her chest and whispered to herself that it was only a dream, only nerves from yesterday. Even clever minds play tricks when they are tired. She drank water slowly, the glass trembling just a little, and watched the city lights blink outside as if nothing in the world had cracked open. Morning arrived politely, sunlight spilling onto the kitchen counter, toast popping up cheerfully, Sami humming while tying his shoes. "See you later, APA," he called. Ayla smiled, though the dream clung to her like a shawl she could not take off. As she walked to work, the streets felt oddly familiar, each turn nudging her memory. Her feet slowing without instruction, her breath shallow. Something was waiting. She could feel it. At the corner near the flower stall, time folded, the same red car, the same neon sign flickering though it was daytime now, the same cyclist wobbling. Ayla's stomach dropped. "No, no, no," she whispered, but the world did not listen. The screech came, sharp and exact. Oranges scattered like bright little suns. The thud echoed through her bones. People screamed, and Ayla stood frozen inside her own body, watching a moment she had already lived. Her hands shook as she knelt beside the injured cyclist, her voice calm out of habit. "Help is coming, stay with me," while her mind screamed silently. This was wrong. Dreams blur, memories stay sharp, and this was sharp down to the smallest detail. The way the man's watch had a cracked face, the way the soda smelled sweet and sickening on hot pavement, the way her own pulse matched the ticking of a traffic light. As sirens approached, Ayla stepped back, the crowd closing in. An understanding settled gently but firmly, like a heavy quilt laid over her shoulders. These were not dreams. Dreams drift and fade. This had weight. This had sequence. This had certainty. Her future had already visited her, curled up inside her mind, waiting patiently to be recognized. That evening, as the sky turned lavender and the city exhaled, Ayla lay awake, listening to her heartbeat, wondering quietly what other memories were on their way to find her. The evening air brushed Ayla's cheeks as she stepped out of the cafe, warm cups clinking behind her, chairs scraping softly, and somewhere a bell rang as the door swung shut. Her scarf fluttered at her neck, and her shoes tapped an uneven rhythm on the pavement when a voice slipped into that rhythm, gentle but certain, saying her name the way only one person ever had, Zuzu. She stopped so suddenly, her breath caught. The city seemed to pause with her. She turned slowly, heart knocking against her ribs, and there he was, standing a few steps away, hands tucked into his coat pockets, eyes soft with something like recognition and regret mixed together. That nickname had not lived in the open air for years. It belonged to scraped knees and shared secrets, to a boy who vanished one quiet summer and was never spoken of properly again. She searched his face, older now, sharper at the edges, but the bones of familiarity were there. The crooked smile he used when he knew he had startled her. "You should not use that name," she said quietly, her voice steady out of long practice. "Strangers do not get to carry pieces of my childhood." He nodded, as if expecting this, as if rehearsed, and said, "I was hoping you would say that." They walked without deciding to, side by side, the streetlights humming on one by one. He told her. His name was Elias, though her heart whispered another name it was afraid to say aloud. The smell of roasted chestnuts drifted past them. Traffic murmured like a distant river. And Allah felt that strange pull again, the one she had felt since the dream, as if the world were gently nudging her toward something already chosen. She wanted to ask him everything all at once. Where have you been? Why now? How do you know me? But the questions tangled inside her. Instead, she asked the smallest one, "How do you know that name?" Elias glanced at her, eyes dark and kind, and said, "Because you cried when you learned to ride a bike. And I promised not to tell anyone." Her steps faltered. The memory bloomed so vividly it stole the air from her lungs. They sat on a bench beneath a tired old tree, leaves rustling like whispers. Isla folded her hands tightly, grounding herself in the press of her fingers. This cannot be real, she thought. Memories can lie when you want them to, but this felt too careful, too exact. She studied his hands, the faint scar on his thumb. She remembered how it happened. Broken glass and a foolish race. Her chest ached with something warm and frightening. Elias spoke softly, telling her he had not disappeared. He had been erased, not from the world, but from memory. Some choice had been made, some file altered, and Ayla's mind leaped unwillingly to the glowing screen she had seen at the clinic. Tomorrow's date, her name, the puzzle pieces brushed against each other, without yet locking into place. "You are not supposed to remember me," he said gently. "But you are starting to remember things you have not lived yet, aren't you?" Ayla's silence was answer enough. A tremor passed through her. Fear, yes, but also a strange relief, like finding someone else awake in a house at night. When they finally parted, the city felt softer. Lights blurred into gold, and Ayla walked home, wrapped in questions, knowing sleep would not come easily, and knowing too that the past had just knocked on her door, asking to be let back in. The archive room breathed quietly around Ayla, lights humming low, drawers sliding shut somewhere behind the walls, the soft thrum of machines sounding almost like a sleeping animal. She stood still with her coat folded over her arm, fingertips cold, as if the room itself had recognized her before she recognized it. She had come looking for reassurance, nothing more, a simple check, a professional curiosity dressed up as calm. One lifetime, one edit. That was the rule she helped teach to students and families. You choose once, carefully, like picking which memory hurts too much to carry. The system locks after, clean and fair and final. Allah had always believed in the elegance of it, until her badge chimed softly and a screen bloomed awake with her file. The words were plain, almost kind. Memory edit status, completed. Her stomach dipped. She leaned closer, eyes scanning for dates, explanations, signatures, something to hold on to, but the details were sealed. A simple line remained visible. Edit. Allowance, used. Her breath slowed the way it does when the body is protecting itself. She told herself, there must be a mistake. Systems glitch, mismatched identity. anything other than this quiet certainty settling into her bones. "I would remember," she whispered. Her voice swallowed by the room. Memory edits leave shadows, gaps. You can feel even if you cannot name them. Yet her past felt whole, heavy with ordinary joys and griefs. She remembered scraped knees, her mother's laugh, Sammy's first day of school. Nothing felt missing, and that frightened her more than emptiness ever could. She sank into a chair, palms pressed flat against her thighs, thinking carefully now, like a woman sorting lentils, one by one. Elias said he was erased. The clinic screen showed tomorrow. The dream that was not a dream. These were not separate things. They were threads of the same cloth. And somewhere in her life, she had chosen to cut and stitch without leaving herself a note. A technician entered quietly, an older woman with kind eyes. "You look pale, dear," she said softly. Ayla forced a smile and asked the question that burned her tongue. "When was my edit performed?" The woman hesitated just a moment too long before answering. "Years ago, during a private authorization." Allah nodded, thanked her, kept her posture neat, the way she always did when unraveling inside. As she left the archive, the hallway felt longer, the floor warmer beneath her feet. She realized something important then. Memory editing did not erase feelings, it rearranged facts, meaning if she felt watched by her own future, if strangers felt familiar, if tomorrow felt remembered, it was because the edit had been done to protect her from something unbearable, or to protect the world from her outside. The afternoon sun lay gently on the pavement. Children laughed somewhere nearby, life continuing with tender stubbornness. Allah closed her eyes for just a second, breathing in dust and warmth and possibility, wondering quietly what kind of memory was powerful enough to make her choose forgetting, and what it would cost her when it finally came back. Water rushed gently from the showerhead, warm and steady, steam curling around the mirror like a soft fog. Allah hummed without knowing she was doing it, a small habit from calmer days. Her fingers traced familiar paths as she washed, shoulders, arms, skin she had known all her life, until her hand stopped, catching on something that did not belong, just below her ribs, hidden where light rarely lingered. Her fingertips found a thin, raised line, pale and unmistakable. A scar, not fresh, not angry, but healed and settled. Her breath stuttered. She leaned closer to the mirror, wiping steam away with her forearm, heart tapping hard. She knew every mark on her body. Childhood scrapes, old burns. This was new, and yet it felt old. Panic came quietly at first, like a polite knock. Then all at once, it rushed in, her thoughts scattering. How could this be? When would this be? She pressed gently around it. No pain, only a strange awareness, as if her skin remembered something her mind had been denied. The room felt suddenly too small, the air thick. She wrapped herself in a towel and sat on the edge of the tub, grounding herself against cool porcelain. "You are tired," she told herself. Exhaustion plays tricks. Memory bends under stress. But another voice whispered softly, the one that had been growing braver each day. "This is not a trick, this is evidence." Her future had left fingerprints on her present, and not gently. She pictured another version of herself. Older, perhaps, careful or desperate, making choices and carving them into flesh. She dressed slowly, fabric sliding over skin that no longer felt fully hers. Every movement measured. She remembered her work, the lectures she gave about temporal cognition, about how the brain anchors identity through continuity of experience. Break that chain, and the self trembles. Ayla felt that tremble now, a deep quiver beneath her calm. If my future self can hurt me, she thought, then she can guide me too. The apartment was quiet. The kettle clicked off too late. The smell of burnt tea leaves filled the kitchen. Ayla barely noticed. She pressed a hand over the scar through her shirt, feeling its certainty. Her thoughts turned inward. Why would I do this to myself? What was I trying to stop or start? Fear wrapped around her ribs, but beneath it stirred something steadier, resolve shaped by years of study and care. She remembered Elias saying she was not supposed to remember, remembered the file marked tomorrow, remembered the accident she had already lived. Patterns do not lie. She had taught that too. The future was leaking backward, and she was both the source and the witness. The idea was terrifying, yes, but also intimate. Like finding a note written in your own handwriting and realizing you trusted yourself enough to listen. As night settled, lamps casting soft pools of gold, Ayla lay in bed with her palm resting lightly over the scar, breathing slow. The city murmuring outside like a distant story being told by someone else. Sleep crept closer, and with it the sense that something inside her was waking up, ready to remember the rest. The first time Ayla noticed Rayon, it was because of the way he stirred his tea, slow and thoughtful, spoon tapping the cup in a soft, uneven rhythm. Rain traced lazy paths down the cafe window. Pages turned somewhere behind her, and his voice floated across the room, calm and steady, asking a question that seemed to settle into the air instead of demanding an answer. They met properly a week later at a small lecture hall that smelled of old books and lemon polish. Ayla had come for distraction more than curiosity. Rayan stood at the front, speaking about free will, about choice and consequence, about how humans love to believe they are steering even when the road is already drawn. His words did not rush, they rested, and Ayla felt something inside her lean forward to listen. Afterward, they talked like people who were not trying to impress, just trying to understand. He asked her what she studied. She told him about memory, about how the past shapes the self. He smiled gently and said, "Then you hold the steering wheel more than most of us." His kindness was not loud. It did not sparkle. It warmed slowly like tea steeping, and that felt dangerous in a way excitement never had. They began meeting without naming it, walks that turned longer than planned, conversations that slipped from theory to confession without warning. Rayan spoke of his fear that free will was an illusion, that love was just a story the brain told itself to make fate feel kinder. Ayla listened, heart careful, thinking of her scar, her future memories, wondering if love could survive when tomorrow already knew too much. She did not tell him everything, not yet, but pieces escaped her anyway. She spoke of feeling watched by time, of moments repeating themselves. Rayan never laughed, never dismissed her. Instead, he said softly, "If the future exists already, then choosing to be kind still matters, because kindness is how we decorate inevitability." His words settled over her like a shawl, comforting and heavy. Ayla found herself noticing small things. The way he waited before speaking, the way his eyes softened when she frowned in thought, the way silence between them felt full instead of awkward. This was not the rush of first love. It was something steadier, like walking into a river that looked shallow until you stepped in and felt its pull. Still, unease threaded through her warmth. Rayon questioned choice for a living, and she was beginning to suspect her choices were echoes already made. She wondered what he would think if he knew she might be following a path her future self had carved. Wondered whether love chosen under such conditions was still love or simply obedience. One evening, as they sat watching the city lights flicker on, Rayon said quietly, "If someone knew how their life would end, do you think they would live differently?" Ayla felt the question land inside her, like a bell, ringing long after the sound should have faded. She did not answer, only held her cup tighter, feeling both seen and exposed, as night folded gently. Over the streets, Allah walked home with his words tucked close, heart fuller and more fragile than before, knowing love had arrived late, softly, and that it might ask her to choose between truth and tenderness very soon. The city sounded different that night, footsteps echoing longer than usual, wind slipping through alleyways with a knowing sigh. Allah felt it as she walked, that quiet sense that buildings were listening, that streetlights leaned in just a bit, her scarf pulled tight around her neck, heart steady but alert, the way it gets when a story is about to turn. Elias led her through a side entrance beneath the old transit library, a place most people forgot still existed. The air inside smelled of dust and paper, and something faintly electrical. Lights hummed overhead, soft and patient. He did not speak until they reached a narrow room lined with screens, each one glowing with dates, names, moments, paused mid-breath. "This is where the city keeps its promises," he said gently, "and its lies." Ayla stepped closer, recognition pricking her skin. These were not prediction models, not probabilities. She knew the math too well. These were curated sequences, edited timelines, stitched with intention. Her mind raced, remembering lectures, policies, safeguards. She had trusted. The realization landed softly but firmly. Like a cup set down after spilling, the city was not watching the future, it was arranging it. "They call themselves the archivists," Elias said, voices careful, not cruel. "They choose which memories stay and which ones are trimmed away, not to control people, they claim, but to keep the city gentle. Fewer tragedies, fewer unbearable turns." Ayla's hands curled into fists, gentle at the cost of truth, she thought. Gentle for whom? Her thoughts drifted to the scar, to the accident, to the file marked tomorrow, pieces sliding together now. The archivists did not wait for disasters. They softened them ahead of time, erasing people, nudging choices, making the unbearable survivable. Allah felt a strange ache, part anger, part understanding, because she knew that impulse well, had lived her life trying to protect others from pain. Elias watched her carefully. "You were one of them," he said quietly, not in accusation, but in sorrow. Ayla inhaled sharply. The room seemed to tilt. Memories fluttered, just out of reach. Meetings she could almost hear. Hands she could almost feel shaking as she signed something irreversible. She had not been a victim at first. She had been a caretaker. A screen shifted beside her, displaying a softened timeline. Fewer riots, fewer deaths, smoother lines of history. Ayla felt tears sting. The city had become calm because someone had absorbed its grief, hidden it, buried it inside edited minds. And now those buried truths were pushing back through her, scars and dreams and strangers calling her by old names. "Why erase Elias?" she asked. Voice barely above a whisper. Elias smiled. "Sadly, because I refused to forget," he said, "and because you loved me enough once to let me go." The warmth of that admission hurt more than anger ever could. Ala pressed a hand to her chest, feeling both the loss and the care folded into the same memory she could not yet touch. As they left the hidden room, the city above greeted them with quiet lights and ordinary sounds, as if nothing had changed at all. Ayla walked slowly, knowing now that the streets she loved were carefully arranged sentences, and somewhere within her, the author of those sentences was beginning to wake. The apartment felt wrong the moment Ayla stepped inside, to quiet, like a room holding its breath. Her keys clinked louder than usual, the clock ticked patiently, and the smell of cold tea lingered where warmth should have been. She called out Sammy's name out of habit, expecting a lazy reply. But the silence that answered her felt heavy and unfamiliar. She checked his room first. Bed neatly made, shoes missing, backpack gone. Nothing alarming, and yet everything. Her chest tightened. She reached for her phone, dialed his number, listened to the hollow ring. Again and again, the city outside hummed on uncaring, while a small cold space opened inside her where certainty used to live. When she went downstairs, neighbors greeted her politely, smiled kindly, asked after work, and when she asked about Sami, their faces folded into confusion. "Who is Sami, dear?" one woman asked softly. Ayla laughed once, sharp and strange, until she realized they were not pretending. Her hands began to shake, the world tilting just enough to make standing difficult. She moved through official channels next, security desks, registry terminals, familiar corridors that no longer felt friendly, her voice steady through training and shock as she asked questions. A name search returned nothing. No records, no residency, no educational files. It was as if her brother had never been born. Grief pressed against her ribs, fierce and disbelieving. Because love does not vanish, simply because the world forgets. Finally, reluctantly, a technician pulled up internal footage. "We should not be doing this," he murmured. But his eyes were kind. The screen flickered. Hallway cameras from weeks ago, and there she was. Ala recognized herself instantly. Posture calm, movements careful. She watched herself authorize a sequence. Watched her own hand hover, then press confirm. The label read memory cascade, erasure. Subject Sammy. A sound escaped her throat, small and broken. "No, no, no," she whispered, as if the screen might listen, as if the past might soften. She did not remember this, did not remember choosing to unmake her brother. Yet the woman on the screen looked resolved, tender, even as though she were tucking someone in rather than erasing them from every mind but her own. Her thoughts spiraled then, sharp and relentless. What danger was so great that I chose this? What future did I see that made losing him acceptable? Tears slid silently down her face. Grief layered with betrayal, not of others, but of herself. She had always believed she would burn the world before sacrificing her family, and yet here was proof that she had done exactly that. Elias stood beside her, now quiet and solid, his presence anchoring her. "Sometimes love looks like disappearance," he said softly. "Sometimes it is the cruelest protection." Ayla pressed her hands together, nails biting into skin, trying to feel something solid, something still hers. Sami lived. In her memories, at least. Laughter, arguments, shared breakfasts. The world might forget, but she would not, that night, back home. Isla sat on the floor of Sammy's room, holding one of his sweaters. Breathing in dust and detergent and familiarity, the city lights blinked. Outside, like distant stars, and as exhaustion finally pulled at her, she understood one terrible truth. Her future self had not only shaped the city, she had already taken everything Ayla loved to keep tomorrow alive. The room glowed with a low amber light as Ayla sat before the console, keys clicking softly under her fingers. The hum of servers wrapped around her like a deep, steady breath. Somewhere, water dripped patiently, counting time. Her hands moved, almost on their own, guided by muscle memory older than fear. The final lock waited, quiet and respectful, as if it knew what it carried. She hesitated only once, feeling the weight of everything she had lost press warmly against her back. Then she authorized the release. The screen shimmered, and the memory unfolded, not like a storm, but like a story being read aloud. She saw herself older, softer, around. The eyes, sitting beneath an open sky, grass moving gently in the breeze. Her breathing slow and unafraid. This is how I die, she realized calmly. Not in pain, not alone, but finished. The memory continued, scenes flowing gently into one another. The great servers dimming one by one, the city exhaling as if freed from a long-held breath. The memory system collapsing, not in chaos, but in quiet surrender. People waking with their full pasts returned. Grief and joy mingling freely again. Ayla felt tears slide down her face. This was what she had chosen, to give the world its truth back, even if it broke. Then came Rayon, standing in a small room filled with morning light, his eyes searching, hers trusting. She watched herself speak words she could not hear, saw the way his face shifted from warmth to understanding, to hurt. She knew then that she had betrayed him, not with cruelty, but with silence. She had used his belief in choice to guide him away, to keep him from stopping what she had already decided. Ala pressed her hand to her mouth, grief blooming slow and deep. She had loved him, truly. And that love had made her dangerous. Love had given her something worth sacrificing, everything, for, including itself. She understood now why she could not remember this choice, why forgetting had been the only way to keep living long enough to finish the work. The memory drew toward its end, her older self lying down as evening gathered, someone nearby holding her hand, though the face stayed just out of view. Her last breath came easy, like a sigh after a long day, not an ending but a rest, Ayla felt. No fear in it, only relief, the kind that comes when a duty has been carried all the way home. As the console dimmed, Ayla sat very still, the room warm around her, heart aching yet steady. She had seen the end and it was gentle, but the path? There was steep with loss. She thought of Sami, of Elias, of Rayan, each taken or wounded by love, shaped into responsibility. This was the cost of curating tomorrow, becoming the villain so others could wake free. She wiped her face and stood, the hum of the city rising through the floor. She was no longer guessing, no longer lost. The future had spoken kindly and clearly, and though it asked for everything, it had also trusted her to choose it again outside. Dawn brushed the edges of the sky with pale gold, and Ayla stepped into the morning knowing there was only one chapter left to live. and she would walk into it, awake. The city hummed quietly beneath Ayla's feet, rain tapping soft and irregular against the windows, wind whispering through the cracks of old stone. And somewhere, a train sighed along the tracks, the rhythm familiar and comforting. Yet tonight, it felt like it carried a warning. Her fingers grazed the console, cold and smooth, waiting for her decision. The choice that had always been waiting in the folds of her life. Elias stood beside her, eyes wide with questions he dared not ask aloud. The memory files flickered on the screens, fragments of timelines, faces she loved, faces she feared, all stacked like fragile porcelain. And then she saw it, the truth blooming slowly, painfully, that the villain she had chased, the force reshaping lives, erasing Sami, bending the city, was not some stranger, not a cruel machine, but herself, her own future self, a shadow stretched forward in time, trying to save the world by becoming the monster. The revelation pressed against her chest, steady and relentless. She felt her knees weaken, hand hovering over the keys. Her mind spun. Why would I do this? What world needed this sacrifice? And yet, she remembered her last memory, the peaceful end, the release of the system, the weight of choices carried across years. The cost had been clear, even if her younger self could not see it. And now the younger self had to understand, to decide, to step forward or break the chain. She remembered Rayon, the warmth in his eyes, the quiet belief in freedom, and Sami, the brother whose laughter had been unmade, and wondered how much she could give without losing herself. A tremor passed through her, fear mingling with resolve. If I do nothing, she whispered to herself, the city will fold under its own soft lies. If I act, the world will remember, and someone will pay the price. Perhaps all of me. Her thoughts wandered gently through memories she had loved and forgotten. The scar that had not happened yet, the quiet city corners she had walked with Elias, the teacups tapping, the rain blurring the streets into pools of gold. She realized that love and duty were tangled in a knot she alone could undo, that the line between hero and villain was thinner than skin. And sometimes it was courage to hurt in order to heal. Finally, she pressed forward, decision made, heart steady despite the ache. The screens shimmered as her choices flowed outward, threads untangling and weaving anew, the future reshaping softly, violently, tenderly. She felt tears, not from fear, but from the gravity of being trusted by time itself. For a moment, the rain outside matched her heartbeat, steady and insistent. And as the first light of dawn touched the edges of the city, Ayla stood quietly, the hum of the streets gentle beneath her feet, wind wrapping around her like a protective shawl, knowing that she had finally met herself across the years, and that the story was hers to walk one careful, powerful step at a time.